Today, a jailhouse murderer was sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after pleading guilty to strangling to death his Muscogee County Jail cellmate with his bare hands.
WRBL's Hannah James was the only reporter in the courtroom. She joins us now with more. Hannah?
Phil, Teresa, people in this community may remember this defendant, Javon Hatchett. He had already been sentenced for a 2020 racially motivated attack on an AutoZone worker, already serving a 25-year sentence. Hatchett now faces more time in prison.
How would you plead to that? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Monday, 23-year-old Javon Hatchett, a black man, entered a guilty plea in the September 2020 jailhouse murder of his cellmate, Eddie Nelson Jr., a white man.
Mr. Hatchett murdered his cellmate, Mr. Eddie Nelson, through manual strangulation. He murdered Mr. Nelson with his bare hands. Superior Court Judge John Martin sentenced Hatchett to life with the possibility of parole. Under Georgia law, you must serve at least 30 years.
Our community continues to be plagued by violence and murders. For persons to understand that if you behave like this and that there are serious consequences, and we are here today to, as I indicated, this is how we resolve disputes in this country, and I think the message needs to go out that if there is behavior like this that's completely unjustified, that there are serious consequences to it.
Point being, this was a heinous crime. He took another man's life, and honestly, it really doesn't matter why. We're glad to see him go away for life.
Hatchett was serving time for stabbing an AutoZone worker. Hatchett said he stabbed the worker because he, quote, wanted to kill a white man, end quote, after watching a video of police brutality against a black man on social media. 2 weeks after the AutoZone attack, Hatchett killed his cellmate.
I think that is a real problem that people see, and there's a disconnect between what we see on the internet, what we see on television, and what it's like in real life when someone is hurt or killed. And we often see young people who act out in ways that are disproportionate to what has happened. And that does lead to a lot of our murders.
Hatchett had been jailed since 2020 and will receive credit for time served. He also entered a guilty plea Monday to family violence in a separate case. Judge Martin sentenced him to 20 years to be served concurrently with his life sentence. Now, both crimes came just 3 months after the brutal murder of George Floyd, which made national news. In previous reports, Hatchett said, quote, somebody had to do something, end quote, after watching news reports of white police officers shooting black men. Now, that was when he walked into the AutoZone store, stabbing the clerk 7 times in the back. Back to you both.